Hi guys, this is a video response for IDICbeer. He's just reached 1,000 subscribers, so big well done to you. That's huge. 1,000 subscribers. Blimey. But yeah, what he's doing to mark the occasion is he's hosting a giveaway. He's giving away some laser cut card scenery, which looks absolutely fantastic. As per usual, I've left it to the last minute, and I believe today is the last day to get entries in, so if you're seeing this and haven't got your entry in yet, get on with it. But yeah, so what he wants people to do as far as an entry into this giveaway goes is he wants people to talk a little bit about something wargame related, and what I'm going to talk about is sculpting, because that's kind of what I'm into at the minute, sort of in the foreground of my mind at the minute. There is also a big project that I've got coming up, which I'll announce in a separate video. I won't go into that now, but there's been setbacks for that which have been incredibly frustrating. But anyway, so back to the sculpting. What I've got in front of me here is a few miniatures that I've sculpted, a few things that I've sculpted, and I'm in the process of sculpting, just to show my progression. But to start with, I just wanted to sort of give it a couple of shout-outs, I suppose, and to give you guys a little bit of information, I suppose, motivation maybe, just explaining a bit about what inspired me, what motivated me to get into it to start with, and to pursue it as well. Initially, it was people like Van Hammer and Asjara, and more recently the Dismo. Watching them, seeing what they were doing, seeing the results that they were getting, absolutely fantastic, and wanting to achieve something like that for myself. It's a skill that I think is worthwhile having, certainly. But yeah, so it piqued my interest. I wanted to have a go at it, and you might have seen some previous videos of mine where I talked a little bit about sculpting and things. And you don't, if you want to get into it, you don't need to spend a fortune on getting a load of expensive equipment and tools and things like that. To start with, I was using a toothpick. That's it, just a toothpick. And I was using milliput, not green stuff, as well. And the results that I was getting, just switch to macro here, this piece was the first thing that I ever sculpted, and this was sculpted using the toothpick. The base included this sort of bell, 8-pointed star bell mount for the face, which, yes, doesn't have any ears. That was a bit above and beyond me at that point. But this was the first thing I sculpted, and this was just using a toothpick and milliput. It's a much larger scale, it's not 28mm at all, it's a long way from that. But yeah, because of the success of this, because of how well this turned out, it kind of kept the ball rolling for me. And the next thing that I sort of had to go at, the main thing that I had to go at, was this guy. And yes, there were many times during the process that I thought, you know, I've really bitten off more than I can chew here. But I got him finished. Very happy with the way the face turned out. He's got his bionic eye there with a bit of scarring, and you know, the whole body was sculpted by me with a toothpick. Just the banner and the mouth gun from GW. This put together from a few different bits and pieces. But yeah, just I guess the things that kind of kept me going during this project and kept me focused, kept me from giving up, was just not putting too much pressure on myself, knowing that I was new to it, that I was, you know, completely amateur, and just seeing how it turned out, really, not having too much, not expecting too much from myself. And it allowed me to get this guy done, get him finished, and ultimately be incredibly happy with the results. He's still in the process of being painted, but that's by the by. But yeah, so that guy was the first full body sculpt that I ever attempted, and this girl, featured in a previous video of mine, she was the second ever full body sculpt. As you can see, again, quite large scale. I think they're sort of 54mm scale. So this guy's more like a true scale Terminator, if not a little bit larger even. But yeah, there was this girl, and again this presented quite a few challenges. Being female, it was much more attention to detail was necessary, especially for things like the face. And obviously she's not wearing a giant suit of Terminator armour. There's quite a lot of skin-tight leather, and obviously the face, and obviously the shape of the female body to consider, and the hair. Very significant things to consider. But yeah, it was a challenge. Again, worried about whether I'd bitten off more than I could chew taking on this project. But yeah, again, very happy with the results, and I guess I've been lucky to have been able to get good results. But anyway, I mentioned before some earlier videos, I did talk a little bit about sculpting, and something that I would like to reiterate, just for people who are thinking of having a go at sculpting. Do it, have a go. You never know, you might have a knack for it. If you haven't lost anything. But something that I found useful for me was to practice on blue tack or poster tack, or the sticky putty that you can get that's sort of for putting up posters or whatever. Practice on that, because you can push that around, you can sculpt it, you can form it, shape it, and of course you can just sort of mush it up. It doesn't go off, it doesn't set solid. You can practice over and over again. And I did that quite a few times after doing this initial piece, just because I wasn't quite happy with sort of the bone structure and things, just to get a bit of practice in. But yeah, after this I moved on to something where I had to pay much more attention to the armour plates, and try to get them much smoother and much more proportionally accurate, I suppose, for this guy. And again, practicing on faces again. This guy, point the camera in the right direction, it might help. But yeah, this guy turned out very well again, and had some practice on some cape work, which turned out relatively well as well. And something else that I would sort of recommend for people who are getting into sculpting, I'll just pull these forwards quickly, is before you have a go at something as large scale as full body sculpt, try things like this, where you just add to a base. These are just sort of cones of green stuff, just sort of, well, this is milliput actually, just sort of squashed down onto the base and then had holes poked in them. Nothing fancy, but can add quite a bit to a base, a little dioramic base. And things like this guy's hair, and the bandana, and the little smoke trail. Again, just little things just to add to a miniature. You might remember this guy from an earlier video. This is a Terminator from the Pink Fuzzy Bunnies chapter. He's got a little tail and ears. Just fun little things like that. Just they add a lot of character to a miniature, and they give you practice at details as well. And then you can kind of put those things that you've learned on these bits and pieces together and transfer them onto a miniature. There was another full sculpt that I worked on, I believe, after this guy. I didn't sculpt the shoulder pads, backpack or helmet. They were from a Mark IV command kit, but the majority of the body. Lost my train of thought there. Vampire Lord, yes. After this guy, I believe, sort of would fit in here, except he's not here to fit in because he's been sold. I'll put a picture of him up here. Okay, so that guy again was a sculpt that I have featured in a video before. If you want a closer look at him, you can go back and have a look on my channel. But him again, another challenge, trying to tie everything together that I've learned over the time that I've been doing stuff, just to kind of up my game and come out with something that looks, you know, good, and I was happy with, and I achieved it with the Vampire Lord. Incredibly happy with how he turned out. I just wish I could have kept him, but that's not the way it works, unfortunately. But yeah, the last thing I want to mention here is this guy. As you can see, this was the first full body sculpt that I ever did, and this is the most recent full body sculpt that I'll be working on, and this is in fact for IDICbeer. He will be a Necron Cryptek. You may or may not know that Games Workshop only actually provide one Necron Cryptek sculpt, so there's not much by way of, you know, choice options. So yeah, he's asked me to do this for him, and I am doing. Progression is slow on this guy, mainly because I'm having trouble getting back on the horse after moving everything into this new work area. And there's been some health issues that have come up recently which are yeah, just getting in the way. But yeah, also surprisingly, it's not the arms and legs so far that are causing me issues with this guy. It was actually the rib cage, so I've had to strip that off, and we'll be redoing that. But yeah, this again, Necron Cryptek. If you guys know what a Necron is, you'll probably be able to guess what kind of, you know, challenges this kind of sculpt is going to pose compared to something like a Space Marine sculpt. These guys' arms and legs, little spindly things, and chock full of detail as well. So again, this is going to be a challenge. So at every step through my experience with sculpting, there's been a challenge, and it can get very frustrating. But one thing I'd say, recommend, I suppose, is if you decide to have a go at something, if you decide to try it, and you're new to it, if you find yourself getting frustrated, take some time, go away, do something else, take your mind off it and come back to it at another time, because if you sit there banging your head against a brick wall, you're going to ruin it for yourself. You're going to take all the wind out of your sails, and you're just going to give up on it. Obviously that might not work for everybody, this is just sort of my opinion, but yeah, if you find yourself getting frustrated, take a break. Don't ruin it for yourself unnecessarily, because you do need to put in the time. You need to gain the experience, you need to gain the skills, and it takes time. You can't cut corners with things like this. I've been very lucky in that, to start with, I got some very good results, and it sort of spurred me on to keep me going. But that's a lot to do with patience, and you know, me personally, for myself, I've always been quite artistic, I suppose. I don't know if that's quite the right word, but anyway, so yeah, if you want to have a go, you don't need, like I said before, you don't need the expensive tools, you don't need the expensive kit. They do make it a lot easier, and I just want to give a quick shout out to Mr. Glick here for sending me some additional tools that will be incredibly useful, and also some miniatures that were sort of little mannequins, I guess, which just show in great detail the sort of musculature of the human form and things like that. So again, going to be very useful. But for new people who are starting out, obviously I'm still relatively new at this, and these things are going to be incredibly helpful to me. Just you know, you only need to pick up a couple of things, have a go at it, see what results you get, and yeah, you never know where it can take you. This guy, like I said, this guy, again, I would never, you know, when I was at this stage, I would never have dreamt of even attempting something like this. So that just goes to show the progression in my own mind, my own perception of my skill level, to take on something like this. and I must say it's been fun sort of just coming up with the stuff in my mind and sort of getting my head around it, and you know, it's going to be good to get back to this guy and get on with him, because it's been a while. There's no time limit been put on this, and that's something else I guess I should mention. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Don't expect too much of yourself, at least not to start with. Allow yourself that kind of space so that you give yourself the time to learn things, to get the experience. But yeah, I guess I'm sort of running out of things to say here. I guess one other final piece of advice that I just give anybody who's going to start sculpting: licking your tools, licking your fingers is all well and good, but this stuff helps a lot. Put a bit of this on your tools and it just keeps them slick, stops them sticking to your green stuff, and means your green stuff sticks to what you want it to a lot better. And this is just petroleum jelly. Just see if I can get the lid off actually. Yeah, just petroleum jelly. There might be other names for it elsewhere. But yeah, there you go guys. I have now run out of things to say. But yeah, thanks for watching, and again, congratulations to IDICbeer for reaching 1,000 subscribers.